afternoon, ladies. Thank you for joining me this afternoon, and I appreciate your time today. I'll be sharing with you 3 key steps that I learned over the years that are essential to build and scale a profitable business. I have lots to cover, so I'm going to jump right in and get started. My name is Ingrid Ovenstone. I'm a business builder and a serial entrepreneur. I have, during my career, built 4 successful businesses from scratch. I've been involved in a multitude of organizations driven from board and senior exec levels, and I've rescued a non-profit organization. I've acquired a failing business, turned it around from worst performing franchise to 127% growth within 4 months. And I've been known to take on Goliath and win. Does any of this sound like you? Are you working from the moment you open your eyes to the time you close them? Are you working really hard but not getting ahead? Are you trying to balance family time, but even when you are with them, you aren't present in the moment? You're checking emails, making calls, which leads to serious guilt feelings. Are you physically and mentally exhausted with a workload that is just never ending? Excuse me. Is your day filled with tasks you don't like doing and you're wondering how you've managed to move so far away from doing the things you actually love doing? Do you see other people making more money, working less, and you wonder how they're actually doing it? Every time you come up with a new idea on ways to grow your business, all it ends up doing is making you have more workload than you actually have already. Do you tell yourself that you need to keep going and pushing through and you'll eventually have a break, that you need to be able to spend more time with your family? Do you tell yourself you just need to bring in a couple more sales, just a few more, and then you can afford to get more help? Basically, in other words, you've become a slave to this dream business that you've actually created. Does that look like your typical work day? I know it looked like my typical work day. I mean, there you are sitting in the middle and you're just handling everything, and you are actually becoming, or you are a jack of all trades and trying to actually be superwoman. And you're doing all of this in your business with no real systems or staff in place. And unfortunately, there are some very real threats. And frankly, sacrificing your family is never an option and never worth it. An interesting story for you. I once met a CEO of a large steel manufacturing company, and his mission was to become the CEO, the head honcho of the business. And along his journey, he obviously did like what many people do. He neglected his family, he neglected his friends, and he actually lost everyone close to him. His dream finally did come true and he became the CEO. But when he stood at the annual event where he was recognized for his achievements and the announcement was made, he was absolutely alone. He had lost his wife, he had lost his children. So the actual achievement was pretty bittersweet, I think. So what I'm going to equip you with today, getting very tongue-tied, are a couple of things. Why core values matter and why they're critical to your business. And really and truly, they're the backbone of your business and they're fundamental to your business success. And why you should immediately be identifying your ideal client and the business benefits to doing this. And I'll share with you 6 steps that you need to put in place to enable you to build a team to grow and scale your business. Just a reminder here, I'm not actually trying to sell you anything. This webinar is free, and there is a free gift at the end, really, just to say thank you for staying until the end. So the idea here is once you implement what I'm going to show you today, you will have structure in your business and you'll develop the perfect processes that are right for you and right for your business. You will stop doing all the operational work yourself thereby freeing up time for you to work on your business instead of in it. Your business will stop sucking the life out of you. You'll feel excited and motivated to go to work. And you'll have a team of go-getters that will be closing more deals, resulting in better revenues and more satisfied customers. And best of all, on a personal level, you'll have time to go to your children's sporting commitments. I remember, going to my children's sporting events, and there's nothing better for them to be able to see you in the crowd. And you'll be able to go on great holidays with the confidence to know that your business is continuing, allowing you to relax and really connect with your family. In other words, you'll have the freedom to live life on your terms. So why not become a true CEO and work on the parts of your business you really and truly enjoy and that are in your area of brilliance? I know, I get that it's scary to start to hire a team, and it's scary to delegate, and there could be financial implications to your business. The reality is that you will never get a 6 or 7 figure business without a strategy and without a great team to help you get there. It really is time for you to stop being a jack of all trades, stop being superwoman, stop micromanaging your team and thinking that you're the only one that can do the job properly. Remember, the more you delegate, the more you control. And the 3 things that a typical CEO of a small business needs to do, it's their responsibilities, it's their duties, is to make sure there's money in the bank, get the right people in the right roles, and guide the long-term vision for your company. So it's time for you to shift your role to running your business, learn to delegate and level up and take back your life. So I guess I do have a bit of an unfair advantage here. I have over 30 years experience in building businesses. As I said, I've built 4 profitable businesses, all from scratch. I've made lots of money, but believe me, I've lost lots of money. As they say, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And I've had many business and personal successes and many failures. I've self-sabotaged. I've had lots of self-doubt. I've lacked confidence. In fact, I've driven my husband absolutely crazy. I've won a number of multi-million-dollar contracts over the years. I've built many high-performing teams that get the job done. And I think if I can share with you one thing right now, which changed the way I did business and changed the way I thought of business. One day, my little daughter, she sat on my lap, and she hugged me tight and she sobbed her heart out, and she said to me, "Mommy, I just never see you anymore." It absolutely broke my heart, and I knew there and then that something needed to change. I wanted a business, but I didn't want to be sacrificing my family, and that was absolutely critical to me. So I now specialize in helping women entrepreneurs grow and scale their businesses to help them achieve the life that they want for themselves. So a little bit more about me. My story. I was born in Africa in the 60s, and I moved to Zimbabwe when I was 3 months old. So I used to run barefoot in the African sun, and I really had a very carefree life in my schooling years. And I had an absolutely wonderful, kind, generous mother. She was the best role model that any young girl could ever hope for. There is a daunting darkness, a haunting darkness, however. And at the age of 6, I was sexually molested by an older half-sibling. I also had a father who believed children should be seen and not heard. He always told me I wasn't good enough, that I would never find anybody to love me because I didn't want to be a housewife and I had bigger ambitions. So in actual fact, I grew up in fear of my father. And so that's one of the reasons why I also, for many, many years, kept the secret of the sexual molestation. And why am I telling you this? Well, frankly, I'm proof that you can overcome any adversity and you can succeed. So I've been building businesses since 1985, and yeah, I built a few of them, and I'll build it up to a business up to a certain size, and then I'd get itchy feet, and then I would decide that I needed to sell it. And I always thought there was something wrong with me, and I wondered why I always did that, and I was never happy with just running a business. And then, I made the decision that it was actually because I enjoyed the thrill of the build. That's what really motivated me. And yes, global experience across various sectors and senior roles. My most successful businesses was actually in the technology space. And I believe I found the key to repeatable, scalable, successful business practices. And for me, I insist on a work-life balance. I think it's absolutely key. And this is my beautiful family. Currently, I now live in the United Kingdom, and I continue to build my legacy. And I'm doing that with my wonderful husband, Wayne. And I have two beautiful children, Byron and Amy. And a little bit about my passions. I love giraffes. My mission is to stop them from becoming extinct. I love to travel. For me, it's important to be able to go anywhere in the world and continue my business. So I've adopted that laptop lifestyle, and it works for me. I love birds. I particularly like macaws because I actually owned one, and they're the most magnificent birds. My bird was called Blue, and I love dogs, particularly little miniature Daxies. And one of I guess one of my bigger passions as well is my friends. I've got friends that are spread all over the world, and they're friends that I've had right from childhood, and I really, really value those friendships. So let me share with you the 3 actionable steps you can implement in your business today. So step number 1 is core values at the heart of your business and becoming an employer of choice. So, and why core values are important. Core values are not new. I mean, they've been around for a long time, but what is new is that the millennials and the Gen Zs have made it clear that purpose and meaning matter. And values need to come off the wall and be felt within a business. So what does it mean to be an employer of choice? Simply means a company that is extraordinary. It's a great place to work, and people actually want to work there. And it's important to attract top talent and have a more engaged workforce. And how are you going to become an employer of choice? Well, fundamentally, you need to be somebody that's prepared to connect with your employees. You offer good career advancements and ongoing training and mentoring, and you need to be looking at the perks and the packages that you are offering your staff. And a couple of examples that I have here, which I think are quite relevant. Tech giant Google, they've got quite a number of great company perks, and that's why a lot of people want to work for Google. They've got extended pay, parental leave, bonus payments for new parents, free food, college tuition reimbursements, paid leave for volunteering, unlimited sick leave, and it goes on. Zappos, for example, they pay 100% of premiums for employee healthcare. Mayo Clinic, they reimburse for adoption expenses and have an on-site medical care facility. And it's important to remember, when employees feel valued, they'll passionately share your vision and dig deep to help your business thrive. So, and company core values, what are they? And here simply, they are the guiding principles that your business uses to manage its internal affairs as well as its relationship with customers. Values should actually affect every single aspect of your business. And experts actually predict that by 2020, millennials will make up 30% of the global workforce, with Gen Zs making up 24%. And for them, corporate values are important, and they really do matter. And for me, I say that a company core values are simply the DNA of your company. So it's important for you to have created your core values from day one or as soon as possible, and develop core values with your team and include everybody in your organization. You're not going to get people to buy in to values that they haven't been included in the process. And just interestingly enough, Tony Hsieh, the founder of Zappos, actually, it's an online shoe and clothing company, for those that don't know, because I didn't know and I had to Google it, said, if I could go back and do Zappos all over again, I would actually come up with our values from day one. So I just thought it was important. I talk about millennials and Gen Zs and Generation X. So I thought I would just give you just a slide on the generational overview and the years where the generations were born as to what slot they fit into. And you know, there's some important things to understand about the various generations. For example, Gen Zs, the people that fall into that category, do not remember 9/11 disaster. And they're the fastest growing generation in the workforce, and they're the fastest growing generation of consumers, and they are determining the purchasing behaviors. Millennials, the average millennial is the age of 30 now, and they're the largest generation in the workforce. The Generation X's, they are actually the parents of the Generation Zs, and the baby boomers, and that's the category that I fit into, are the oldest generation, who are still the most influential and still making things happen and offering great value. So how do you go about creating core values? I'm going to give you a couple of steps here that you can actually literally put into place right now and start creating your core values if you haven't done so already. So first and foremost, get your whole team together in a brainstorm session and have a whole bunch of post-it notes and pens, and start with everybody writing down their own personal values to get started. That starts getting the juices flowing. And then look at the business and what has contributed to your success to date. And this brain dump needs to happen for a while. Don't stop it too early. Keep it going until you're absolutely exhausted and you don't have any other ideas coming onto the table. And then after the brain dump, you need to sort the notes into similarities. Have a conversation about what your company values and what your people value within the company, and look for the values that resonate both personally and professionally. My suggestion is always to agree on 5, maximum 10. I think 5 or 6 is actually ideal. Taking it to 10 makes it difficult for people in the organization to remember the values. And the idea here is that you want your people to buy into those values and believe in them. And every employee is to understand each value and how they relate to your business and how they can be applied every single day. And write down a clear, direct explanation of how you will see, experience, and live each value in the workplace. So an example, if you have one of your values is respect, what you need to do is ensure that, you know, what does your business look like? What does respect look like in your business? And how would your employees demonstrate respect? And who will they be respectful of? And how will that change their everyday behaviors? And an example here is that I've taken is the Ben & Jerry's respect value. And their value is we strive to show a deep respect for human beings inside and outside our company and for the communities in which they live. So just a success story with regard to values and what I did. I was brought into a business that was riddled with legacy issues. They had escalating overheads, reduced profits. The owner had actually received the business in a divorce settlement, so she really didn't know very much about running a business. And the worst of all is she had actually taken over some existing staff, and she herself had no experience. So of course, what happens? The staff took advantage of her, and you know, they knew the systems, they knew the processes backwards, and she was coming in not knowing what was going on. So she asked me to get involved, and you know, it was quite a daunting task, I guess, because I had to determine what exactly was happening. So this business was bars on a casino floor. So I actually put people at the bars to watch what was happening. I looked at all their processes, their procedures, how the stock was coming in, how it was going out, how things were being paid for. I just had to evaluate the entire thing. And the result of that was I determined that the major problem within the business was actually her senior management. There was a lot of theft of the alcohol. And so I had to put a number of the staff through disciplinaries and employment tribunals, and that was all done. And then I said to her, we really need to take a step back here. You've got to actually start from scratch. So you've got to start identifying your company values. You've got to restructure your management team. You've got to hire against those core values, which we did. And I had to implement some stringent stock and other business controls. And once that was done, she had a proven logical system set up, and within 3 months she had actually doubled her turnover, which she was really grateful for. So what are the benefits of core values to a company? I guess it supports your vision, it shapes your culture, it dictates the behavior across your business. It clarifies your company identity, and it educates existing and potential new clients. It helps in the decision-making process in your business, and above all, it's the primary recruiting and retention tool that you should be using. So we get on to step 2 about discovering your perfect target customer. Please remember that marketing to everyone is a sure recipe for failure. So why should you be identifying your ideal client? I think first and foremost, I think we need to realize that not everybody's going to like you. In fact, you don't like everybody either. So, you know, that's bound to happen in any organization. And if you're targeting your marketing message to everybody, you're not speaking to anybody, in fairness. There's no such thing as a universally loved product or service. If you want to convert people into your fans, you need to be speaking their language. You need to be catering to their needs and their wants and their goals. We all know that marketing is a challenge, and it's actually expensive, so it needs to be right. And we also know that time is money, and we don't want to be attracting the wrong people to our business. We don't want the nitpickers or the unreasonably demanding people. So how do you go about creating your ideal client persona? And yeah, you need to realize as well that you may not only have one client persona. You may find that as your business evolves, you end up having 2 or 3, 4 or 5. It doesn't matter. But you know, if you haven't got one ideal client persona, my recommendation is to start with one at this stage. So what you need to be doing is looking at your existing database. You need to be looking for the trends about how clients, leads interact with you. You need to be chatting to your team that you have in place. What type of customers are you servicing best? And who do you interact with the most? And then you need to be interviewing all your clients and prospective clients, the good and the bad, because it's amazing the kind of valuable information that you can get from unhappy clients or clients that you don't particularly want to do business with. And you need to be conducting surveys and targeting your network and social media contacts. And obviously, one of the key things is to be designing a standard worksheet that all the staff are going to be using when they're doing the surveys and speaking to the clients. And it's important for your clients to understand that this isn't a sales call, and it's purely a research call. And you know, with that in mind, they will be open and honest with you. Remember, if you're not talking, if you're not taking care of your customers, your competitors actually will. And these are the types of questions. Obviously, I couldn't put all the questions on the slide, but these are the kind of things that you would be asking or putting in the worksheet so that your team could be asking your clients and prospective clients. So now, how to go about using your research that you've actually gathered once you've completed all the surveys. So on an Excel spreadsheet, you categorize all your answers. You need to be looking for the patterns in the data, areas of similarity. An ideal client is someone you want to sell to. It's a fictional person who matches all of the patterns and similarities from your data. You don't want to totally disregard, some characteristics that aren't shared, but do focus on common ones. And also, I think you also need to remember that this is an ongoing task. Your business is going to evolve and change, and so you need to start small and build these personas over time. And as your business changes, so will your clients. So consistently monitoring their insights and stay up to date with your research is key. So why does this method work? It's simple and easy to implement immediately, and all staff can participate. And it can be done in a relatively short period of time, and it keeps you focused and stops the mindset of trying to be all things to everyone. And it gives you clarity on many things. It gives you clarity on the tone of your correspondence, your client's needs, the client's desires, etc. And people don't buy from you because they understand what you do. They buy from you because you understand what they do. So I'm just going to have a sip of juice. Get rid of the croak in my throat. So here as well, I'd like to talk to you about another client that I worked with. I was brought into a business that had a very clear 5-year growth strategy. The problems they had, though, was they had a very small, inexperienced team to try and meet those targets that had been put in place. They had no ideal client identified. They had a very poor website. I had no sales and marketing material, no accreditations, poor lead generation, and poor salary and commission structure that had been put into place. So I was brought in to work on all of those aspects of the business. And so, first of all, I identified their ideal client. I also looked at the pricing that they had in place, and I cut out all the rats and mice deals, and I made them a minimum deal size that the staff would go for, so that they weren't wasting their time on the really small deals. I restructured and recruited a new team. I reviewed all the salary packages, commissions and incentives. I developed a new website and sales and marketing materials. Sales processes, procedures were written and put in place. And in the past, they'd had really no leadership, no management. So that was absolutely key for them to understand that I was there and prepared to work with them every step of the way. I also put personal development plans and training plans in place for every single one of the staff. And the importance of that is so that they know that they're important to the team. And ongoing, after the first year, each and every one of the team had achieved all their KPIs, and they'd actually overachieved on their sales targets. And I was chatting to the one lady that's still within the business, and she says they continue to overachieve. So now we get on to step number 3, the 6 steps to build and grow a high performance sales team. And here it's important to understand that there are 3 types of employees. You've got your actively disengaged, your disengaged, and your engaged employees. And what does that mean? An actively disengaged employee is somebody that's, for all intents and purposes, actively working against the company. You know, they always sit back, they don't contribute, they're just making life difficult at every step of the way. Then you've got your disengaged employees, and those are the people that show up for work and do just enough to get by. And then you've got your engaged, which obviously stands to reason. Those are the proactive, your content, happy, motivated employees. And a very interesting stat is only 15% of the worldwide workforce is engaged. And those are scary numbers. And these are even scarier. Interesting UK stats. 21% are actively disengaged, 68% disengaged, and 11% engaged. So what is the impact on a business with a disengaged workforce? 34% of their salary is wasted. You've got less profitability, which stands to reason, more health and safety issues, more theft issues, lower customer ratings, lower productivity, and the result of that will be a higher staff turnover. LinkedIn did a survey in 2017, and I was absolutely amazed with the results of this. What they did was they did a survey as to what it would cost to replace a disengaged staff member, and they took an entry-level employee, and they took like a manager, technical person, and what they have found that the cost to replace an entry-level employee is 50% of the salary, and the technical leader is 250%, which is a mind-blowing number. So I went to a seminar a little while ago, and this was shared with me, and I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it just shows you this in money terms, what the impact can be to your business. And I think we all need to understand what the monetary impact is. So if you take the cost of a disengaged employee, I just took 2 employees with the UK stats. So if you've got 2 disengaged employees, the cost, and I took his annual salary of 20,400, the cost to your company is 2,913 and 12 pence. I mean, that money could ideally be spent somewhere else on a marketing budget or something where you'd gain better value. And these numbers scared me. Cost of replacing employees, you've got your entry level, and you've got your leader technical, and you've got your 50% and your 250%. And I've taken salaries of 2,400 for an entry level and a 65 average for a technical management type person. And at those percentages that the LinkedIn survey came back with, the cost to your company, cost to replace an employee at entry level is 10,200, and at a management level is 162,500. And you know, even if LinkedIn are wrong, and the 250 is too high, even if it was 100%, I mean, that's mind-blowing costs to a company. The reality is, you need to be getting the hiring right within your business, because you don't want to be having these kind of costs. So what are the impacts of a wrong hire? Have you heard the saying, a warm body is better than nobody? Believe me, don't believe it. A bad hire is worse than leaving a position vacant. And the impact of a wrong hire on your business, obviously there's financial costs, there's productivity costs, there's reputational costs, your staff morale can go down, and the impact of the other employees' performance and productivity, the guys that are left behind, because they are picking up the slack. So you need to be getting it right the first time. So put in the time and the effort at the front end to make sure you hire the best team possible. So the 6 steps that I refer to are, you need to be understanding the type of team that you require. You need to be developing a repeatable hiring process, and you need to be hiring against values and culture. You need to understand the compensation plans that you need to be putting in place and the tools that your team need to get the job done. And you need to be looking at what training and motivation is needed. And you need a scalable sales model. It's important to remember here is that complexity sucks time. So don't be trying to overcomplicate these processes. When something's too complex, it requires more meetings, more explanations, more refined communications with customers, more people in the workflow, and basically more cogs in the machine. And complexity slows businesses down and inhibits growth. So here you need to be keeping it simple as possible. So step one, identifying the type of team. So what you need to be doing is look at your current business needs. What are they? Do you currently have staff in place? Maybe you've got, you know, 1 or 2 salespeople that you've hired in the past. And do those people actually lack any skills that you wish they had? What type of staff are you needing? Are you looking for field sales people, inside sales, or maybe you're looking for both? I had a situation when I was in the IT sector. What I found worked exceptionally well is I had a field sales teamed up with an inside sales, so they became a team. Everything they did was in a team. They got compensated in a team. Obviously, they both had a basic salary, but whatever commissions were paid, they were paid 50-50. So they were in it together, and that worked exceptionally well. And the other thing you need to think about is how many team members do you need short term, and obviously long term. You need to be looking at the long term. So the step 2 is the repeatable hiring process. So you need to be developing something that is, and you need to be hiring against your values, I guess, and your culture. So it's really important that you do not rush or skip any of these steps. You need to make sure that you're protecting yourself against litigation. Make sure that you know, you don't ask any illegal questions. I mean, I know of some people that they've got themselves into hot water because they've asked questions like, you know, do you have a family? I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but you know, you've got to be really careful about the kind of questions that you ask. And you need to remember that you need to be documenting the process so that, you know, if you do have anybody that challenges you, you can show and prove that you've got a proper documented process. And because you've identified core values, you've identified them for a reason, you need to be using them in this process. So important requirements is you need to be looking at a job description and a personal profile. And here I would always recommend that you keep this concise. And frankly, if it's longer than 1 page, you need to be cutting it down because, again, I'm talking about keeping it simple and not making things too complicated. You need to have a solid, repeatable, and structured interview process. And here what worked for me very, very well was when I was hiring somebody, I would first do a telephonic interview, and then I would have a first interview thereafter, which would be with myself, and if at that stage I had somebody in HR, I would combine HR in that first interview. If I then liked that person, they then got a personality assessment. And here you don't have to spend thousands looking at these assessments. There are a lot of free ones that you can get. For example, there is a Tony Robbins one, the DISC assessment, which is free. Use it. It gives you some valuable insights into the potential person that you're looking to hire. Then if the assessment comes back and you're happy, then often another interview after that is important, particularly if they're going to be working with other staff in your organization. Give them an opportunity to meet the new potential hire, see if they like them. They need to be a good fit. You know that saying about if you've got one rotten apple in your business, you'd want to be avoiding that at all lengths. And If you are wanting to check references, I've seen so often that people send emails saying, hi, can you give me a reference on this particular person? And to me, I wouldn't do that. I would actually pick up the phone. And why? These days, people are not allowed to give bad references. So, but by picking up the telephone, what you are doing, you're listening to the person's tone on the other end of the phone. You're listening to whether they are cold and totally disinterested, or are they actually enthusiastic about your potential new hire? You get a lot of information when you pick up the phone and ask for a reference check. And when you're making the offer, don't procrastinate. I've seen so many times people procrastinate and wait, and when they finally do decide to offer the role to their ideal hire, that person has taken a role somewhere else. If they're good, they're on the market, and there are other people that are wanting to whip them up. So don't procrastinate and make the offer as quickly as possible. And here you need to be thinking about all the various recruitment templates. What you're wanting to do is have a scalable, repeatable process. So, your letters, they need to be standard letters, standard contracts. I mean, these stand to reason. But with those, then, the next person that you're hiring, this process becomes that much simpler because you've got all these things in place that make it simple and easy to hire the next person. And this part I can't stress enough is a clear and consistent onboarding process. The worst thing for any new hire is to feel unwelcome and that you're not ready for the day that the new hire starts. And you need to draw up a clear, concise induction and onboarding program. And honestly, if you get it right, you will have a higher staff retention, which is absolutely key. Your employees build relationships quicker because in the induction program, you're involving other people within that induction program. So they get to know the new hire quicker. And your new hire settles quicker and becomes effective quicker. And they definitely feel welcome. So the next step is the compensation plans. And what is exactly a compensation plan? Well, it's a combination of a basic salary, commissions, incentives, etc. And here, I've always believed that you need to keep it fair. It always needs to be a win-win, and you need to keep it simple. Commission structures don't need to be complicated. They need to be simple so that every single one of the staff understand how the commission works, and it makes it easy for you at month end to work out the commissions. And then you also need to consider what is commissionable. So, do you have a commission structure for new sales? And then you may have a separate commission structure for customer management, for example. It stands to reason that you would pay more commission for a new sales than just customer management, but customer management is important. And another thing that I put in place very successfully was overachievement incentives, holidays, excursions. If you've got a person that's really overachieved on their targets, nothing better for them to take their spouse away on a holiday. And if it's worked out correctly, it's not going to cost your business money that you don't have. It will have been built into the targets that were set for your team. And also you need to understand when and how is commission paid. So is this going to be on a monthly basis? Is it a quarterly basis? Are you going to put clawbacks into the mix? Clawbacks is if a client cancels within a certain period, maybe a month or 3 months, depending on what your business is about. Once commissions paid, if a client cancels, are you going to be taking that commission back from your salesperson? And also, does a salesperson need to be covering their overhead before commission kicks in? These are things that you need to think about. And will you offer remote or home working? You know, gone are the days where you need to be sitting opposite each other. Home working has become the norm. And there's been businesses that have lost key people because they can't see further than their nose, and they think that people have to be sitting opposite each other in order to do the work. You know, we've got Zoom, like what we're doing today. You've got so many electronic offerings that you don't need to be sitting opposite each other to get the work done. And you need to be setting realistic KPIs and targets. There's nothing more demotivating for a salesperson to start the year with a totally unrealistic target, and they start on the back foot believing that they're not going to achieve it in the first place. Now we get on to the tools, and here I'm amazed sometimes at how some teams are expected to do the job and they don't have the right tools at their disposal. So one of the first and the key things is a CRM. Do you have one? You need to be looking at them. There's actually a lot of web CRMs that are not expensive, but remember that they need to be set up correctly. It's like accounting packages. If you don't set it up correctly, I say garbage in, garbage out. So if you're not going to set up your CRM correctly, you're going to have the same problem, garbage in, garbage out. You're not going to be able to pull the kind of reports that you'd be looking for. And your website, if you have a really good look at your website, is it fit for purpose right now? Does it need to be revamped? Are your messages clear? Is your branding clear? And also, do you have the necessary sales material? Do you have brochures, calling cards? These are standard things. Quotation templates, presentation folders. Do you have an online letterhead, email templates, PowerPoint presentation template? Why? Because you want all your team to be doing and sending the same message out to the marketplace. You don't want any of them going off on a tangent doing their own thing. They need to be conforming to what you have put in place. And it's important for your business, particularly as you're growing, because that's the quickest way to lose control is if everybody's doing their own thing. And then also, does your team need the business to have certain accreditations? I've been in businesses where the management are expecting large tenders to come in, but they don't have things like an ISO 9001 or a 14001 accreditation. But the people putting out the tenders require, those are prerequisites to be able to tender. And then the management wonder why their team aren't able to win any tenders. Well, you need to look at the accreditations. So these kind of things, these tools need to be thought about. And then we get on to training and motivation. And training and motivating, that needs to be repeatable, scalable, and consistent so that you can ensure success. So you need to ensure that your leadership is good. You need to build rapport with your team and always encourage employees to bring ideas. Nothing is a stupid idea, because it's amazing that your staff are on the coalface. They're there in front of the clients. They're working your systems day in and day out. They are bound to come up with some tweaks and changes that could potentially be good for your business. So listen to those ideas from your employees. Meetings are absolutely key. Can you imagine trying to have a sales meeting? You've got a team of 10 people, and it's not a regular Monday meeting from 9 until 10, and only 2 of your staff arrive for the meeting. You're not going to have a very successful meeting. So there's rules that need to be put in place. Weekly meetings, nothing goes into the diary except that weekly meeting. And come hell or high water, they need to be in those meetings. Then you get a successful meeting, you get your team collaborating and working together. So for me, I used to have a weekly sales meeting. with the whole team. It was important for me to have one-on-one meetings with each of the team. So if there was anything personal that they needed to talk about, you know, maybe they were battling with certain things personally or battling with certain clients, we could discuss those just one-on-one instead of in a group session. Training is absolutely key, both on and off site. It doesn't always have to cost you a lot of money. I used to do a lot of in-house training that was really beneficial to the team. I used to do a lot of shadowing in the field, so I would go out with the team to their clients, shadow them, listen to what the client was saying, sometimes the verbal and the non-verbal stuff that was coming back out of those meetings. And then we would discuss those clients together to see, you know, how we both felt about the meeting at the end of it, which was really valuable for the team. A lot of team players don't like role play within meetings, but it's key because it helps them build confidence and get comfortable. And the one thing that worked really, really well, and that's why I say you don't need to be doing, spending a lot of money on training. I would take the entire sales process and I would break it down into topics. So say, for example, cold calling. And one of the team members would have to do a PowerPoint presentation and do the actual presentation at the meeting on cold calling. And then we would discuss cold calling and how that fits into our environment. And what that does as well is, it builds confidence. It builds, you know, makes the team member comfortable to stand up and present. And then also what worked very well was I allowed team members to prepare and run meetings. So it wasn't always me having to run the meetings. I allowed them to run the meetings sometimes, and that was really good for them. And personal and training development plans for every single one of your staff members are key, and those need to be co-developed and drawn up together so that they can see that you are interested in their well-being, and you've set realistic milestones, and you understand what each member of your team is actually about, because everybody's different. The other thing that worked very well was games. Keep them light and fun. One we used to do when we had a telemarketing exercise, we would somebody would come up with a sentence, off-the-wall sentence, and the whole team had to cold call. And the first one that was able to take that sentence and put it into the conversation that they were having with the client on the phone, they won the giveaway for that day. And it might have been a bottle of wine or a massage or whatever it was. It didn't matter. But it got the team laughing. Cold calling is never fun for anybody, so it lightened it, which made it, you know, something that they actually enjoyed. One of the key things that's important for all, I guess anybody really, people like to be acknowledged. They like their successes to be noted, and they like to be thanked for their successes. So leadership boards, particularly if you've got a sales team, you know, showing what they've achieved sales to date against their targets, and you know, then it becomes a competition and a healthy competition. And I guess the person that's at the bottom of the leaderboard, it just makes them work harder to make sure that they get to the top of the leaderboard. And one of the key things is encouraging peer mentoring and encouraging the team to have each other's back. You know, often you hear managers of organizations say that their sales team are very much it's a dog-eat-dog kind of environment where they're stabbing each other in the back. You never ever want to have that kind of attitude amongst your team. It's just a recipe for a disaster. So I like to encourage them to help each other, if a team member is off sick, pick up the slack. You know, those are the key things that build rapport in your team. And one of the things that I've always done is, if we do have an issue, we have maybe lost a contract, or we've got a really unhappy client, I like to, what you call, black box it. You know, in the planes, you've got a black box. When if you retrieve that black box, it actually plays back what exactly happened and what went wrong. You black box in business, and it's not a blame game. You don't want everybody to be sitting there pointing fingers. What you're looking for is, you want transparency, you want honesty, you want self-awareness, and you want understanding amongst the team what went wrong, so you can learn from that experience. And scalable model. Here it's important to design a model where a team and the sales process can cope with your growth. I mean, that's ultimately what you're wanting to do. You're wanting to grow your business, and you need processes that can cope with that growth. You need a hiring process that allows you to add new team members fairly quickly. Believe me, hiring on gut feeling is not scalable. It will never be scalable. Yes, you'll have this, geez, there's something about this person that I really like, but there's got to be something behind that. There's got to be processes behind that to justify that hire, not just, I like this person, I'm going to hire them. And so developing a process of scoring and documenting applicants is key. You need to have a training program that is uniform, and everyone is trained in a uniform way. And training needs to be consistent so that everyone starts with the same information and the goals, and allows your team to grow successfully. And this program can be repeated time and time again. You need an effective and formal sales process or cycle. And teams that have this in place definitely perform better. It's proved, I've proved it time and time again. And you know, you can read about it. It's a definite. Because everyone is aligned and doing the same thing and establishing a best practice for what works. And you need to always have sales and marketing aligned. These two departments must not work independently of each other. It's essential that they work together. Marketing really are there to be generating quality leads for your business, and the salespeople are there to close the leads. And they need to really be working hand in hand and working together. And I mentioned in a couple of slides before, encouraging remote working. There's lots of studies that have been done on it. Mobile technology allows remote working and allows you to expand your team, but not your office. So you're not expanding your overheads, but you're expanding your team, and it allows growth and easy growth, and it allows it at your pace. And everyone, and I can't stress this enough, everyone is taking the same message to market. So, I mean, the aim of this is to have a business where service and delivery is repeatable and operates without you. I mean, you don't want to be doing all the operational stuff. You don't want to be in your business 24/7. You want to step away and have some me time and some family time. So a simple example of a sales process or a sales cycle, it's a set of repeatable steps that a team takes to convert prospects into customers. And it really is essential to put in place for a company to succeed. You'll never grow a 6 or 7 figure business having everything in your head. It's just never ever going to work. And this needs to be, as I said, repeatable, step-by-step process that your entire team can follow, and which will allow you to scale your business. So I've been known to build high-performing teams, and I follow the same procedure each time. I recruit my team against company values. I ensure that the team have ongoing training and mentoring. I make sure that there's processes, procedures, systems, tools are in place. I develop an attractive compensation plan. It needs to be a win-win. Nothing works if there's a win-lose. Something's going to give. It needs to be a win-win for both parties. And I ensure that we always identify our ideal client, because I don't want to be spending marketing money unnecessarily and marketing to everybody. and a marketing strategy developed to target your ideal client. And the result of that is KPIs and sales targets are achieved year on year. And obviously that is what you ideally be looking for. And, you know, there used to be a time where I thought that it was important to manage tough and with a level, you know, of fear, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. But in reality, those days are long, long gone. Now I strive to get the best out of people. I've been told I'm a great mentor. I'm very supportive and trusting. Yeah, I guess I'm stern. People understand exactly where I'm coming from, but I'm also compassionate, and I'm always ready to listen. And you know, your staff are not robots; they have lives. And if you are compassionate and you're understanding, that results in loyalty from your staff, and that's ultimately what you want. So before I recap, I need you to just look at a couple of things here. I found this really interesting. Percentages of SMEs that fail over 10 years. Year 1, 20% of SMEs fail. Year 2, 34. Year 5, 50%. And year 10, 70% of SMEs fail. And that's, I mean, they talk about the top 6 management mistakes that are made, and there are things like lacking focus, lack of motivation and commitment. There's an unwillingness to listen. Maybe you've got too much pride. You think you can do it all and you know it all. That's a recipe for a disaster. And taking advice sometimes from the wrong people, and a lack of a good mentor. And lack of business knowledge. You know, you can't know it all. You can't be a jack of all trades. You can't think you can tackle every aspect of your business and do it perfectly, because you know, you need to be honing in and using the skills that you are good at. And then, you know, if I can just discuss the idea of having a mentor. Do you have a mentor? I have a mentor, and I think it's absolutely critical, and there's huge benefits to having a mentor. And really all the top achievers in every field have a mentor. And you know, if you don't have one, how valuable would it be to have someone in your life that has been there, done that, and got the t-shirt, offering support and guidance to you. And frankly, if your business is not where it should be, or where you want it to be, you need to make some serious decisions and some changes. So just to recap, I shared with you today these 3 key steps, and you can have it all, and you need to step out of the day-to-day operation that you've been burying yourself alive under. You need to identify your core values, your company DNA. You need to identify your ideal clients so that you are using your marketing spend wisely. You need to build your dream team of go-getters to do the work. And you need to put the right technology and systems in place to reduce manual hours and ultimately improve your revenues. And the important part is you're working on your business, putting all the pieces in place and managing it and driving it forward, not doing the work of an employee. If you're doing that, you need to stop. You are not the employee. You're the CEO, you're the manager. You need to be managing, and you need to be overseeing. You need to be working on your business, not in it. And just imagine if you could reduce your workload by up to 50%. What would that mean to you and your family? So I shared with you today the steps I put in place to stop working in your business and start working on it. And it allowed me to step away and not have to work 24/7 in my business. And the result of that was I had more family time, I had far less stress, I had less self-doubt, that's for sure, because things were working around me, and I stopped having confidence issues because I knew that I could actually do it, and things were happening and they were working well. You've listened to how it worked, how I did it, and these steps can be implemented in your business too. If you'd like me to personally help you implement these, I'd be really excited to do so, and here's how I can do that. So I said in the beginning that I have a free gift for you, and I'm prepared to offer you some personal time with me, and it is free. It's not going to cost you anything, and we can chat about your business and your immediate requirements. And we'll look at how you can implement these steps in your business right away with a game plan that actually works for you. So on the call, I'll give you 50 minutes of my time, and we'll discuss your business in more detail. It obviously stands to reason that I need to understand more about your business, and I need to understand what is and isn't working, and your current challenges that you are facing right now. And we need to determine how we can implement the steps that I've shown you in your business to give you structure, growth, and control. I need to say here that we don't invite everyone to become a client. We both need to see the value of working together. I mean, that obviously stands to reason. If we do, we can start immediately if the fit is right. And if we don't decide to work together, that's totally okay too. And I get that. You know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But we do have some requirements for this call, which I need to make you aware of. So this workshop is for you if you are wanting to stop being a jack of all trades, if you're wanting bigger profits, if you want a business that virtually runs itself, in inverted commas, with a team of engaged go-getters that take ownership. You see the benefit of systems and structures to scale your business, but you just don't really know quite how to get there. You get that, you know, culture and values are the backbone of a business, and you need to be putting those in place. You want more satisfied customers. Right now, maybe you're mentally and physically exhausted. You're tired of sacrificing your family time. You want financial independence, and you're tired of feeling alone and, you know, plagued with self-doubt. I call it entrepreneurship blues. And this is not for you if you're not serious about your business. You see your business as merely a pastime, you are indecisive or doubtful. I mean, that can happen. You're trying to do this all as cheaply as possible, and you're looking for an overnight quick fix. It's not going to happen. And you're not ready to invest the required short-term energy, time, commitment, and money in your business. You think you are just going to try this out and see how it goes. You think someone else is going to do the work for you. There's going to be somebody that helps you and guides you, but somebody else is not going to do the work. You're going to have to do it for yourself. You think you can take the next steps in your business on your own and piece it all together. Then if any of those are you, then please don't apply. So I guess you also ask, why am I doing this? And, you know, first and foremost, I want to be of service to women entrepreneurs. Also want you to implement what we have shown you today without struggling, without wasting time and money. And ultimately, I want you to be able to get the results as quickly as possible. I love helping women entrepreneurs obtain a successful, profitable business that they have always dreamed about. And I want you to have what I've got, which is that work-life balance that I guess every woman wants. You know, you don't want to sacrifice your family and your time with your children. They grow up so quickly. You know, you want to max that time with them as best as possible. And I want you to get back your spark and no longer struggle with self-doubt and lack of confidence. So this is the second to last slide. So if you are interested in having a call with me, then apply now. At the address there, https://timewithingridhavenstone.as.me, and you will be redirected to my calendar, and there will be some time slots there. So book a time with me. As I said, these calls are free. They do book up fast, and we only have a small amount of them available within the next sort of 48 to 72 hours. So please feel free to book a call and I'd be delighted to chat to you. So that's the end, and I want to thank you for your time today, and I'm really looking forward to speaking to you, and hope that you book a call and we can chat about your business, and I can understand how I can help you moving forward. And on that note, I am going to say to you goodbye, and thank you very, very much for your time today. I know your time is valuable, so I appreciate you staying to the end, and I hope I can be of service to you. Thanks very much. Bye.